Hey everyone, a lot of you really enjoyed my review of the Salvador Dali Tarot and you asked if I could also post it here on YouTube. The aspect ratio is different because this was an Instagram video to start with, but I figured you'd still enjoy the review. So here it is finally for everybody here. I hope you enjoy my review of Salvador Dali's Tarot. Tonight I'm going to do something special for Instagram, and that is an exclusive review of the Dalí Tarot. This is something that I've had on my shelf for a while. I've just been so busy doing all of my monthly readings that I haven't had a chance to properly review it. So I wanted to get this off my checklist tonight and also get it out in a timely fashion. So if you're interested, you could still get it because I'm not sure how long they're going to be selling it. So this is a reissue. I was reading the back. I guess it came out in 1984, and this is a deluxe version of that. And you can tell with the exterior here, it's really gorgeous. The book doesn't let you down either. And inside the book, we have this beautiful gold leaf. The first few pages of it also have the gold leaf treatment. And then as you get in on the inside of the book, you're gonna have a full page card and then 3 languages. Each language is about 3/4 of a page. So it's about what you would see in a little white book, but this is far from little. And again, I think for those of you that are new, having that big picture plus the text there is appreciated. I know there's English and German. I think it's French as well, but you can check the website to make sure. I'm just doing a quick glance at that. The book is nice because it does go into detail as to what inspired some of the paintings, what you're looking at in these cards. And it really is a work of art, what we're gonna look at here in a second. Even the sort of case that the cards comes in is also beautiful. Everything has that sort of gold leaf treatment. Now, I would say the only thing that kind of disappoints for me is the cardstock is nice, but it's maybe not as thick as I would expect. Those of you that watch my videos, you know that I love the Radiant Rider Waite. And the thing with this Radiant deck is it's a really good card quality. I've been using these forever. They're a little glossy, which means that they're never gonna get smudged up, and you could even spill something and wipe it off and they're gonna survive. So this is probably one of my sturdiest decks. But this one, for the price, I would have expected it just to be a little bit more stiff and maybe a little bit better finish, but the cards are beautiful and we're gonna get to the paintings now. Before I get into that, I actually wanna say who I think this is for. First and foremost, anyone that loves Salvador Dali, anyone that loves art. It's just like looking at 78 mini paintings. So you're gonna be in euphoria if you love either of those two things. If you're a tarot card collector as well, of course, this belongs in your collection. Now, for those of you that are readers, I think it's for advanced readers only, and I have some caveats with that. I think that the major arcana is beautiful and easy to work with, but when we get to the minor arcana or the pips, there are no numbers and there are also no labels. And to me, that's a big no-no, because if you're in a hurry, if you're trying to, or if I'm doing a live reading and I have to look at the entire spread and start to create some sort of a sense of what's going on for the month, I shouldn't be counting how many symbols are on the card to try to figure out what number it is. And I also shouldn't have to look at it and think, what suit am I looking at? I don't think you're gonna have a problem with that. I can clearly see the difference between swords and wands. That's usually the only area where there might be confusion. But when you get into like 6, 7, 8, sometimes those are hard to kind of figure out. Let's start with the major arcana. I'm just gonna show you a few because we're not gonna have time for all of them. But we have the Fool here, it looks beautiful. I love that it starts off here with the magician as Dalí, and you can see the clock kind of going over the edge and melting, exactly what I would expect out of this deck. Some cards look just like a traditional card, but most deviate to some degree. As we get a little deeper into this, actually I love the lovers as well. For instance, the Chariot is a little difficult to know what you're looking at. This is where it's really nice to have the name and the number. We need that. They're there for a purpose. As we go a little bit further into it, I love this one. Love the Wheel of Fortune. But I think it's always interesting to see how they handle difficult things like death. This is gorgeous. And also the Devil was unexpectedly beautiful. And what we see here is a choice. Something reaching for you, but you have the ability to get away from it, to move. And even if there's something difficult that you're moving through, there's a transformative element to it. One of the brightest Devil cards that I've seen, and the Tower card actually was pretty similar to what I expected. I love the Moon. There's a lot of beautiful colors and movement within it. And I love that there's a modern energy to it that you don't necessarily see in some of the Rider-Waite cards here. the one, I think the card that surprised me the most was the World. It just didn't look at all like what I expected. It looks like a Dalí card, but it's not exactly what I would expect within the World. So anyway, you're gonna have some unique interpretations here. The cards themselves are beautiful. The back of the cards are great too. You can't tell if you're looking at the upright or reverse state, which is really great if you read reversals as I do. Wands is probably one of my favorite suits within this deck. Every single card, again, looks like it could and should be framed. This one particularly, I always love the Three of Wands. As I said, where it starts to fall apart, we usually can always tell with 5, but as you start to get to any of the upper wands, you can see like you'd have to start doing some counting, particularly here, and particularly when it's kind of denser illustration. Sorry, this one was out of order. But you can tell like you really don't want to have to start going 2, 4, 6, 7 to try to figure out what you're looking at. I have no complaints on the court cards. They're easy and they do contain the text, and that's what's kind of confusing for me. We have it on the major, we have it on all of the court cards, but for some reason the minor didn't get it, and I don't understand that, or the pips especially. And again, where it falls apart, if we look at swords, for instance, is, you know, if you start to get to a point where you're not sure exactly what's going on, you got to start counting, because these aren't as recognizable as the traditional sort of illustrations. 10 of Swords is. By the way, one of the most beautiful 3 of Swords ever is right here. So again, I have a hard time getting angry because this deck is gorgeous, and I guess if you worked with it exclusively or a considerable amount of time you spent with this, then you would start to understand or recognize all of the different illustrations. But again, once you get past the easy ones, like 1, 2, 3, and even 4, you have to start to look a little bit more and figure out, again, what am I looking at? How many are here? And you shouldn't have to count. You should never have to count when you're doing a reading for somebody, because it looks unprofessional. It puts you in a position where you're not sure what you're doing, and that's not good for anyone. But again, artwork looking gorgeous. And I really like some of the interpretations, like the 2 of Pentacles is always an interesting one to look at. Anything that's a little bit tricky, I always like to look at it. 5 of Pentacles has this potential for growth and evolution. So some of the hard cards here, like the Devil or the 5 of Pentacles, which have some of the lower emotions, actually have transformative elements, which I thought was beautiful. So I think this is really fun if you want to meditate and kind of learn more or get a different perspective on some of the different energies within the minor arcana. But it's just not, for me, practical, because if I have a bunch of these cards without the numbers and I'm in a hurry and I'm trying to kind of draw together connections, I lose track. I'm actually spending time counting instead of recognizing it and connecting. And if there was just a Roman numeral or an Arabic numeral underneath it, I could quickly see it, and then I could focus on the illustration instead. So that was a big miss in my book. And that's a reason that I can't recommend it for beginners or even intermediate. And as an advanced user, I'm probably not gonna ever use this in a live reading because it opens up too many question marks. I'm not gonna be sure if I can recognize it. So again, most of them are easy. Like you look at the 2 of Cups, you know it's the 2 of Cups. But when I was looking at some of the Wands cards especially, it gets a little tricky, especially something like this where it's so densely populated that I can't see how many are there. So, and if it doesn't look exactly like the Rider-Waite one, then I start to worry. Something like the 4 of Wands I wouldn't need because I can tell just by looking at it. So that's all. I think that this is gorgeous. I think if you're an art collector, if you are a tarot card collector, if you want to meditate and learn a little bit about tarot or your intuition, perfect. I just would not read this professionally for any clients or on my channel. At the most, it might be a catalyst card, and I might just take a second to count when I'm pulling the cards, but otherwise that's the only kind of way that I'll probably ever use it on my channel or with people is as a catalyst, just because they kind of missed the boat on the minors. So anyway, hopefully you enjoyed this, and if you want to purchase it, you can click the link. I'll put a link in my bio to my website where there's an affiliate link that'll support the channel. It's completely optional. You can also just go to Amazon or Taschen and purchase it there. So this is not an endorsement. Obviously, I'm not even recommending it for everyone. I always want to give a fair review, but if you want to support the channel, that's one way you can do it. All right. Thank you so much. Enjoy the pictures. Let me know if you want more exclusives like this, and I'll do it from time to time. Take care of yourselves, and I'll see you real soon. New readings, by the way, should be starting later this week, so you can check my website for the dates, and I will put the links in a few days as well so that you can click straight there and set a reminder. In the meantime, take care of yourselves. Thanks again, and have a wonderful evening.